Have you ever given someone your trust and sincerity only to get doubt and confusion in return? How many times have you wondered if the person in front of you really cares or is just acting? Maybe you think they're using you and their kind words and actions are a cover for their real intentions. Lying in close relationships hurts our feelings and slowly makes us lose faith in ourselves and others. Perhaps you don't want to accept the possibility that someone close to you is acting solely for their own gain, but small actions such as lying, telling half-truths, and not being honest gradually reveal the truth. How can we avoid losing our peace of mind and becoming paralyzed with suspicion every time we think someone is lying? Stoic philosophy, with its calm, deep, and wise ideas, can help us not only spot the signs of deceit, but also face them with a calm mind. Stoics think that the best way to deal with relationships that are full of secret agendas is to keep your mind clear and at peace. This video shows 7 clear signs that someone is lying to you. These lessons teach us more than just how to spot others. They also help us understand that having a strong mind and steady spirit is the best way to deal with undesirable things that happen in our lives. Let's examine each sign to learn how to respond to lies with calm strength. Before we start, I want you to watch until the end and see how many of these signs you've seen in your own relationships. Thanks for watching. 1. They never get in touch with you. 1. They never get in touch with you first. First, a fake friend only shows up when asked or needs something from you. This can make you feel let down, like you're the only one keeping the relationship alive. As a tough person, I wouldn't suggest cutting ties with these people right away. Instead, I think you should learn more about human nature and learn to let go of your expectations of others. If someone never contacts you, it means they may only see you as a secondary connection, someone they can turn to when they need help, or just someone who doesn't care about them. Imagine a friend who only calls you when they're sad or need help. Does that feel like a real, long-lasting relationship? Most likely, it doesn't feel like a real, long-lasting relationship, as a genuine connection is one in which both parties actively seek to give and receive without requiring one person to maintain it. Consider whether this individual would continue to communicate if I ceased my efforts to establish contact. Take a break from making first contact and see what happens. If they care, they'll notice when you're not around and try to get in touch with you again. If they don't, you may have found your answer. Their inaction may disqualify you from their group. This becomes evident when they exclude you from events without your invitation, or when you only learn about them on social media or from other individuals. These events occur without your presence, as if they have chosen to exclude you from moments that a true friend would share. If they don't pursue you, they don't value your presence. Besides feeling abandoned, this makes you question their worth. Imagine a friend you've always thought was close. You text, call, and invite them to coffee or a movie all the time, but when you get busy and stop inviting them, they just disappear. At that point you'll feel let down, but a Stoic would see this as a valuable lesson rather than a wound. You can choose to feel hurt and cheated, or you can accept that they don't really care. Instead of expecting them to care, work on controlling your own feelings and slowly learning to let go. Expecting others to act in a certain way often leads to relationship hurt. Stoics teach us to be realistic about each connection and control our responses to avoid this. When you accept someone else's lack of initiative without letting it bother you, you're building a piece of tranquility that doesn't depend on other people's approval. You might ask yourself, if they don't truly value me, am I willing to let go? And when you can confidently answer that question, you'll feel freer than ever. People who don't reach out may simply have a different way of expressing their feelings, or they may not truly value the relationship. As a Stoic, you don't need to judge or react negatively. Instead, you should seek understanding and acceptance. Work on getting stronger inside and look for more honest relationships. In the end, remember that the most important thing in a relationship is not whether or not someone tries to connect with you, but whether or not you're strong enough not to need their attention. That is the Stoic way to live a calm and strong life. Sign 2. When you need them, they are never there. A true friend will always be there for you, carrying your burdens when times get tough. However, a false friend usually only appears when it benefits them. They may seem caring and close, making you think they care about you, but when you really need help, they disappear. They vanish, abandoning you to handle issues independently. Have you ever wondered why they always seem to find an excuse not to support you when you need it? This is because they view the relationship as enduring only as long as it benefits them. When you're weak or struggling, these friends feel like they don't need you anymore. They'll come to you when they need something, but shortly after, they'll leave. A one-way relationship. They probably haven't helped you when you're lost or hurt. Consider yourself in a challenging situation at work, burdened by lofty standards and fatigue, and in need of assistance. Pay attention and give help. You call the person you once thought of as a close friend, someone you've been there for whenever they needed, but when you reach out, they don't pick up or give excuses about being busy, promising to get back to you later. You wait, but they never do. That's when you realize this friendship only holds value when you're the giver, and they only appear when there's something in it for them. Sometimes you might need temporary financial support, a small loan you expect to be easy to obtain from someone who once promised to help. You've supported them before, whether with money or valuable advice to get through tough times. But when you reach out, all you receive are discouraging reasons they can't afford it or are facing personal challenges. Yet you know they're not in any real bind and continue to indulge in their own pleasures. You see clearly that the kindness you offered has gone unreciprocated, and this relationship is nothing but a one-way street. In many cases, these fair-weather friends justify their absence with convincing reasons. They'll claim to be busy dealing with personal issues or tied up with urgent matters, but these excuses are often just a mask for their selfishness and lack of sincerity. A real friend won't lie to avoid you when you're having a difficult time. They'll show up and listen, even if they're having a difficult time themselves. Sometimes we need to ask ourselves if this friendship has value and meaning, or is it just a temporary arrangement based on convenience? A real friend will show up even when there's nothing in it for them. They'll listen with an open heart without expecting anything in return. On the other hand, a fake friend will always take without giving. Have you ever felt like someone disappeared after you did everything you could to help them? Feel free to share your story. Putting it into words can sometimes free us from the expectations that hurt us in the first place. These friends build their relationships not on love, but on calculation. They come to take, not to share. Understanding this will help us learn not to feel hurt when they depart. This realization doesn't harden our hearts. Instead, it makes us calm. Stoicism tells us not to put our dreams in things we can't control, like other people. This keeps us from suffering needlessly. Sincerity. A real friend won't leave you when you need them, and Stoicism teaches us to be independent and never count on other people's presence. Pay attention to the people you let into your life. In the end, a real friendship will last not because of money or status, but because of pure, true love. Sign 3. They only think about themselves. Those who, after realizing someone is always unavailable when you need help, in a shallow relationship, you don't talk to them enough. Sincere people will take the time to listen and share, but dishonest people often use conversations as a chance to talk only about themselves. Have you had a conversation where the other person kept talking about their life and didn't listen? It was like they were speaking in a continuous monologue, and you couldn't stop listening. This clearly shows that their interest is one-sided and limited to themselves and what they consider important. Ask yourself why they are so focused on talking instead of listening. For many dishonest people, a conversation is not a chance to build a connection. Instead, it's a chance to show off their ego as they brag about their work and personal life successes and failures. Individuals seeking attention will swiftly alter their demeanor or appear indifferent when you attempt to convey your thoughts. Their aim is to gain attention, yet they have no interest in actively listening to others. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Don't waste time arguing what a good man should be that man." Think about a common situation. When you meet with a coworker, they start talking about everything from their current project to their recent vacation. If you attempt to discuss yourself, they swiftly shift the conversation back to them. This behavior not only shows that they are selfish, but it also demonstrates that they aren't sincere in their relationship. Those who lack sincerity seek attention from others. If someone really cares about you, they will listen and respond honestly. But dishonest people don't act this way. They interrupt you not because they are interested or curious, but because they think their opinion is more important, and they don't have the patience to wait for you to finish speaking before responding. This causes tension and creates a sense of distance between them. When you share a difficult situation, such as being under a lot of pressure at work, with someone, they quickly shift the conversation to their own problems, comparing yours to theirs, and repeating the story over and over again. At that point, you know this person isn't a true friend. They want to add to their own burden. Insincere individuals not only fail to listen, but also disregard your feelings and thoughts. They lack the empathy to comprehend others' emotions and rarely provide genuine support. When you share something profound or delicate, they often respond superficially or attempt to minimize your words. This isn't because they don't understand. It's because they don't want you to ever share a painful or challenging life event with a friend. You might hear, "Come on, it's not a big deal," or they might ignore it. When someone only talks about themselves, a true friend would never make you feel like a burden. They would take the time to listen, and even if they don't give advice, it would help you feel like your feelings are valid and respected. When you meet someone who only talks about themselves, instead of getting upset or angry, remind yourself that their behavior shows they are immature. You don't have to react to insincerity with negative emotions. Instead, keep a safe distance and know that they won't add value to your life. When you realize that someone is only interested in talking and not listening, be stoic. Remember that you are empowered to choose which relationships are worth your time. You don't have to put up with someone else's selfishness. Pay attention to the people who really care about you. Staying away from them doesn't mean you hate them. It just means you want to protect your spirit from unnecessary negativity. 4 signs. They forget what sign for. They don't remember what you say. You talk about sharing a difficult or painful event with a friend, telling them an important story, or being honest about how you felt, only to find out later that they don't remember any of it. It's possible that you talked about an important personal plan or a memorable event in your life, but it seemed like they just forgot about it. This isn't a small mistake. It usually means that the other person doesn't care about the conversation or you. If you've ever had to repeat a story or stress details you once shared, you know how discouraging it is for someone who really listens. Remembering isn't a chore. It's a normal thing that people do when they care. A friend and I were talking about how excited I was to start a long-awaited course. It wasn't just any course I had spent a lot of time preparing for. It was the start of a new chapter I was ready to embrace. We were having coffee, and I eagerly told him about my hopes, what I wanted to learn, and the goals I wanted to reach. It was the kind of honest, heartfelt conversation you hope will deepen a connection. But the next time we met, he didn't bring it up, even when I gently hinted. He looked at me blankly, as if he hadn't heard about it before. That's when I realized that maybe I wasn't that important in his life. If he had really cared, I thought he would have asked how the course was going or what I had learned so far. I realized that his forgetfulness wasn't just a slip-up. When people care, they remember. Listening isn't just hearing with the ears, it's hearing with the heart. If you desire love, cherish a true friend who remembers you not out of obligation, but out of genuine concern for you. After that, I started to think about my relationships again. Another friend of mine always asks about even the smallest things I've talked about before, like a new restaurant I wanted to try or a short trip I had planned with my family. These little things may seem unimportant to some, but to me they show that she's really there and listening, because she remembers not only what I say but also what I do, and that makes me feel valued and appreciated in a strong way. Sincere interest and listening are the building blocks of real relationships that last. I began to wonder if it was worth keeping ties where the other person doesn't really listen, and if I could accept a friendship that wasn't real. The answer became clearer when I realized I don't need to keep people who don't value me, and there's peace in learning to let go, so I can save my time and energy for those who do. Since then, I've learned to value friends who are there for me when I need them and remember every story and detail I've shared. These are the few friends who genuinely inquire about the details of my trip. These are the friends I treasure because they not only listen but also stay in my life through positive times and bad. Sign 5. They need something from you all the time. We sign 5 because they always want something from you. When we meet someone who can't remember what we talked about, it usually means they aren't interested or caring. This means that there isn't enough connection and truth in the relationship, but indifference doesn't always mean the end of it. Some people come up to us not only with a weak attitude, but also with clear intentions of getting what they want. When someone reaches out to you solely for their own benefit, it's important to exercise caution. These individuals may appear to care, engage in deep conversations, or even support you during difficult times, but upon closer examination, their actions are primarily motivated by their own goals. Lee often isn't rooted in kindness, but rather in obtaining something from you. They are always asking questions, delving into your life. They seek information about you, not to share or understand, but to uncover weaknesses, needs, or assets you possess. For example, a friend might frequently inquire about your financial situation or work, but offers no support when you're struggling. They aren't asking out of concern, but to see what benefit you might bring to them. If you meet people who frequently ask, "How's work going lately?" or "How did that investment you mentioned turn out?" ask yourself if these questions genuinely come from a place of care. They want information to exploit you when it suits them, rather than contributing to the relationship in today's world, where many people are more inclined to take than to give. Toxic relationships easily emerge. Such people will do anything within their power to obtain what you have. They might pretend to be friends, or even take advantage of your vulnerable moments to maintain a relationship that ultimately only serves their purposes. It's important to take a fresh look at the relationships in your life. Ask yourself, where am I spending most of my time, energy, and resources? If the answer is that you are always the one giving and willing to sacrifice without getting anything in return, that's a clear sign of a manipulative relationship. In reality, some people are ready to drain your energy, resources, and even kindness without giving it a second thought. Stoicism helps us figure out who the important people in our lives are by asking, why are they here with me? Stoics always stress the importance of being mindful and say that there are only two types of people: those who take more than they give, and those who try to give more than they receive. Imagine having a friend who often asks for help when they are having problems, whether they are small, like wanting advice or someone to talk to, or big, like needing to borrow money or solve personal problems. You might feel valued as a friend, but then you realize it's one-sided. When you require assistance or wish to discuss a matter, they either become occupied or show no interest. When you were having a difficult time at work and needed someone to listen, they quickly made an excuse and said they couldn't find time for you. Over time, you learned that they only show up when they need something, and that your presence only counts when it does. Helpful for them. Marcus Aurelius talked about how important it is to understand other people's intentions, and Stoicism can help you stay calm in these situations so that the relationships don't leave you feeling angry or let down. You should avoid people who always want more than they give. This doesn't mean ending all relationships, but it does mean learning to tell when a relationship isn't healthy anymore. Living with people who want something from you won't help you grow. The sixth sign is that people talk about you behind your back. Sign 6. People gossip about you behind your back. For people who live by Stoicism, finding out that someone you trust or respect is talking badly about you behind your back. To see and deal with this kind of betrayal, you need clarity and a strong heart. You also need a calm mind that keeps this kind of betrayal from upsetting your inner peace, even when there isn't clear proof. How tense it gets around someone usually indicates they're talking about you behind your back. It's akin to a delicate, transparent thread. The words and audience are unknown, but their actions will reveal them. They might seem awkward, use passive-aggressive gestures like a forced smile, or subtly ignore what you have to say. You'll sense a barrier forming, generating a negative energy that is palpable even if you don't hear the words. For instance, consider a close colleague whose attitude has shifted, yet they still engage in polite exchanges. They smile, yet their eyes lack genuineness, and their narratives increasingly focus on their own experiences, neglecting yours with indie. Perhaps someone at work has said something hurtful about you, and it's evident from their actions. Often, what other people say about you gets to you indirectly through a mutual friend, a close co-worker, or even a casual comment from a stranger. While it can be disappointing, it's also a chance to see how the real relationship works. People who gossip often act passive-aggressively by putting down your accomplishments. For example, if you tell them about a success, they might ignore it or say something like, "That's not really a big deal, is it?" to make you doubt yourself. They might use words to distract and undermine you in order to lower your confidence over time. In tough times, Stoicism can help you see things more clearly. Remember that it's not the person who hits or abuses us that offends us. It's how we see these things as offensive. If you let rude comments affect how you feel, you give other people the power to change it. When someone slanders you, don't worry about what they say. Instead, keep your cool and think about what really counts. Staying in a negative cycle is easy, but Stoicism emphasizes the importance of controlling your feelings and behavior. Ask yourself, does this really matter? Do these words change who I am? If you really value yourself, these mean comments will fade into the background. People who spread rumors about you usually want something. They're negative because they're jealous or angry, but they don't stay angry. Think about how you can grow. Decide not to allow gossip to disturb you. Stoicism doesn't tell us to cut off all ties with people who have said negative things about us. Instead, it teaches us to focus on ourselves, keep our self-respect, and not let other people mess with our inner peace. Remember that what someone says about you behind your back doesn't change your worth. If you stay calm, steady, and respectful of yourself, you embody the true spirit of Stoicism, a spirit that seeks inner peace and rises above life's sign 7. They treat different people in different ways. Sign number 7. They act differently around different people. After looking at some of the more obvious signs of lying, like backstabbing, we now move on to one of the more subtle but still telling signs. The Stoic way of life tells us to be honest and consistent with our core values, no matter who we're with. People who alter their attitude to appease different people directly contradict this principle. Spirit people who constantly change their behavior based on the situation find it hard to keep ties with them. It's almost instinctual for them to hide who they really are. They easily change their words, faces, and attitudes to fit in with other people. Small actions, such as privately complimenting you but ignoring you when someone more important is around, can clearly demonstrate this. They might also flatter those they fear or respect, while silently devaluing you or those they perceive as less significant. A shallow person usually doesn't care about other people. They will readily manipulate others to achieve their goals, often without considering the long-term consequences. If you notice that someone always changes how they act around other people, ask yourself if they really care about you, or are they just trying to make a link for their own benefit. If someone changes how they act, depending on the people they're around, they don't have the courage to live honestly, they don't care about being honest, and they sometimes seem to lack any strong inner beliefs. If you work with someone who is friendly and warm when you're alone, but when they're around a supervisor or high-level manager, they become overly confident and even aggressive, going so far as to undermine you to make themselves look better, you might feel let down and lose trust in them. Instead of letting negative emotions take over, Stoicism tells us to stay calm and try to understand human nature. It's how we react to a situation, not the situation itself, that shapes our experience in the end. Have you ever noticed how someone acts differently when influential people are around? They might not seem interested in you in normal situations, but as soon as they see someone famous or wealthy, they become instantly enthusiastic and friendly. Their behavior shows that they are not sincere and only want others' benefits or prestige. These types often prefer to mix with powerful or wealthy people because they think they can gain something from them, such as career opportunities or just a higher status. They often attend events where they know influential people will be present in an attempt to impress and gain attention, tailoring their behavior to suit the situation. In contrast, Marcus Aurelius stressed honesty and self-awareness. Imagine that you have a satisfying job, a steady income and social standing. Friends and partners seem ready to support and go with you. But when you lose your job or suffer a major setback, these people are gone. They get busier, less attentive, and may even avoid you altogether. This is one of the most obvious indications that someone is lying about you. A shallow person will quickly leave you when you're no longer useful to them. This demonstrates their conceit and self-interest. Once you cease to be valuable to them, they will promptly depart, seeking new opportunities to advance their career. If you're in a relationship with someone like this, ask yourself, if I lost all my power, status, or achievement, who would still stand by me? Think about your friends. Would they still stay if you had nothing to offer, or would they drift away in search of new connections that could bring them more benefits? This is what the question is. As we wrap up today's movie, I want you to consider the moments when you see signs of conclusion. When people lie to each other in relationships, it's normal to feel let down or even hurt. But Stoicism teaches us that life isn't always sweet. Sometimes it gives us the chance to see things more clearly and grow. Figuring out who isn't real doesn't mean you have to be suspicious of everyone. It gives you the power to choose which relationships deserve your love and kindness. Stoicism teaches us to live without relying on illusions or sadness from the outside world, and to keep our spirits steady, calm, and unaffected by insincerity. Enjoy this video, like and share it with friends and family to teach them how to avoid insincerity. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to learn more deep insights from Stoicism that will help you live with more strength and peace. If you're still here, that means you passed the little challenge at the beginning of the video. Leave a comment saying, "I've spotted a fake friend," so I can congratulate you on your outstanding realization. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos.